Right, Mr. Warren, you've got two representatives in the fourth race on Saturday. Double spin, the mount of visiting jockey Andrew Fortune, who's obviously got a lot of work under his belt at Randkiesfontein, and young Wesley Marwing, he's aboard Ocean View.
Yeah, fortunately Andrew asked to ride some horses for me, which I'm thrilled about. And that one's drawn 1, which I think makes it a lot easier than Wesley's job. He's got to try and overcome the draw and get some cover. But hopefully they both should put up a reasonable showing.
You've been doing this job for many, many years. Great horseman. How do you find it working with Andrew, who is also a superb horseman?
Andrew's a pleasure, he's a breath of fresh air, and he also doesn't talk nonsense when he's discussing horses. He might talk it on the box when he's won a race, but not often when he's riding horses.
So his mission is here to win.
He's always there to win, certainly for me. I'm not that clever that I can pick and choose.
So would you be of the opinion that double spin is the preferential one of your two?
I think she's got the easier task.
Okay, Brett, on to race number 7. You've got Triple Apology. Fantastic name, very well named indeed. And once again, Andrew aboard?
Yes, Andrew's aboard that one. I bought that from Mike de Kock's dispersal sale. Very fortunate to have got him. He's a beautifully bred horse. He's a lovely horse, and I'm expecting him not to let me down.
Okay, and then on to the 9th race, Gypsy's In. Once again, Mr. Fortune in the irons.
Yeah, Andrew's going to ride him. Last time he went to the front and over-raced and stopped, but there's no reason he doesn't need to do that. And he's got a reasonable draw, and I think Andrew will get the best out of him.
Fit and well, obviously?
Yes, they're all fit and well.
Well, Gary, you'll forgive me for suggesting that this horse should have been running on July Day with the theme that was prevalent at Greyville. But Captain Zankel, you'll understand, of course, is now having his third run after the rest. The stable's in cracking form. Lovely draw. Very useful jockey in JP van der Merwe.
Yes, Andrew, he's come back to a race and a course and distance that he enjoys. And he's got to be a big runner on the day, especially from that draw. He's extremely fit. And he's been working very well.
Gary, looking at Gypsy Myth in those very, very famous colours of Joe Gardner, they've been very lucky colours. It appears that Gypsy Myth may have unsoundness issues the way in which she runs, but do you give her some sort of a chance in this particular race on her best form?
You know, Andrew, she's going to definitely need the run coming back from a long layoff. She is a smart filly, and she's a filly that's going to win a couple of races. I know that Mickey's looking to bring her back to stud, but I think if she's got a place shot, she could sneak into a place, which will be a big run from her. But she's got a lot of talent, this filly, and that's why we've persevered with her.
Well, there's nothing quite like stable form. It lifts everybody's spirits, and having a guy like Andrew Fortune in town and having Pierce Stratham riding for you with any number of other jockeys to choose from, it must do the stable an enormous amount of good.
Oh yes, I mean it serves in your favour when you've got champion jockeys on your horses. I mean they're just so talented, and it's half the battle.
Right. Clinton, to all intents and purposes, you've got 3 runners on Saturday, 2 of whom are running today in Cannes and of course Royal Admiral. There's a good reason for that?
Yeah, look, it's a race that they put on at like 11 o'clock. We had like 40 minutes to nominate, to accept and declare, you know what I mean? So whether they run is basically how they pull up today. The other horse, let's see, those 2 horses, but Cairns must have a chance if he runs. Royal Admiral, it's his first run for me today, so we'll see how he runs.
Okay, then of course to the realistic runner in the race, number 14, Legal Trip, with young Matthew Thackeray aboard in race 7.
Look, Legal Trip, you can't get runs with him because he's very low merit rated horse. He had a very good run with me over 1,000 metres. He got beat 5 lengths. He's drawn 1. But the problem with Legal Trip, last time he didn't do it, he rears as the pen's open. But we've fitted him with a blindfold. If he doesn't rear and he's drawn 1 and he gets placed well, he's got a huge chance.
Mr. Tolmay, we're going to give race 4 a miss. According to the discussion we've had off camera, because there doesn't seem to be too much point in labouring the issue. But race 5, you've got horse number 2, Super Club, with Chase Morjun, aboard, and looks like it's the right one in the race.
Yeah, and you know, this horse is actually bred to go distance, but he's doing so well over the 1200 meters. Last time over the 1160, he shows so much pace. And when they phoned us and they said they made the extra race 1000 meters 70 handicap, I said, well, let's take a chance. And I'm sure he's in the shake-up. Might be a bit too fast for him, but he'll be running at the end and catching them. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose in winter it's going to be fast, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, but the faster they go, the better for him.
Fantastic. Then you've got 2 strings to your bow in race 7, Castle Keep number 13 and number 2, Pacific G. And obviously with Gavin Lerena chasing the title, it certainly looks like on form and jockey arrangements that it's the right one.
Yeah, I'm expecting to win. You know, I said to everybody this week, I haven't got the best runners, but the 2 I'm expecting to win was Celtic King and then Pacific G on Saturday. With Gavin in the saddle, the horse as well, he's running on strongly lately. He looks like he's got some confidence after he won the maiden plate, so I think he can win. Yeah, I expect him to win.
And then, of course, it doesn't look all over bar the shouting in race number 9 with horse number 10, Rich Bid. Sherman's just ridden a winner for you, and it looks like Rich Bid has improvement to come.
Yeah, you know, I gave him 1 run over a 16 and he came back and I said to Fanny Chambers, this horse is a stayer, he needs ground, 2000 meter plus. The 2.6 came up, I put him in the 2.6, he was only beaten 3 lengths. I think the 2000 meters right up his alley. If the race last week didn't took too much out of him, I think he'll go close, yeah.
A man that's had his fair measure of success in Dubai is Brian Joffe, and he owns a very, very special horse in Shea Devon. He's still got a lot to prove, but he looks like he's on his way.
I think he is. You know, he's it was a bit of a late starter, and he's another one of the casualty. We had sort of this virus early this year, and it just sort of precluded us from all those, the nice feature races that we've got for the 3-year-olds. But I think he's a horse on the upgrade, and my sort of medium-term plan is to get him qualified for the Summer Cup. Well, he needs to win probably twice more, and I think he's really a horse with a bright future.
So in other words, you'd be pretty bullish that he would be good enough to be a banker in all bets on Saturday.
I certainly think he's good enough. I just hope, being such a tiny field, I hope they don't go to crawl, because that would be less than ideal. But Gavin knows him pretty well now, and I'll leave it to him. Horse is in good form, is in good shape, so I'm just hoping he shows up on the day.
Well, my line of thinking is that he's won twice, once at the Vaal, once on the Turffontein inside track. There's every possibility that the outside track will be even better suited to the son of High Chaparral.
Yeah, I certainly do think that. He won a mile straight, so a long straight doesn't worry him. And the inside track, he picked it up very nicely off a decent pace when he was sitting off the pace, and came through and won a very, very strong graduation plate. So I think he's, like I said, it's a hard knocking bunch of horses here, older horses and well performed, but I think he's on the upgrade, and I'd like to think he's good enough to win it.
Okay, then moving on to race 7, you've got King Kowski, number 5, and you've got Pierce Stratum to hopefully overcome a very bad draw.
This poor horse just never seems to get a draw. If you run him up the Vaal straight, you'll probably draw on the inside, and if you run him anywhere else, he generally draws on the outside. Much better last run. I was impressed with it, and he's just a horse. It's taken forever for the penny to drop. He's quite talented. I thought his last run was most encouraging, and obviously, a bit of extra assistance from the saddle with Pierre. You're going to need luck, obviously, from that draw, but I'll leave all that up to Pierre, and definite inclusion. He's doing very well. His work's very good, so can't leave him out.
Okay, then on to the final race. You've got number 11, Cayman Street, once again the mount of champion-elect Gavin Lerena. Here's a horse that's run behind his stable companion, then been a couple of winners out of that form line. He looks progressive in a race that looks like it's got a few that might be alive.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's an easy race for him, but he's a bit of a hot horse, and I liked his first run, although he just about fell out the gates. This trip, I think, will suit him well, and he's a definite improver, I'm sure of that. I don't know if he's a banker, but I think he's a lively runner himself.